This is 5 on 20 News with Reggie Stout
and Phyllis James,
coming to you live from our studio in downtown Tucson. It is Monday, December 11th, so let's talk local headlines.
Leah Marquez Peterson is set to announce a run for Congress this week to take over the seat of Representative Martha McSally, who will run for the Senate in 2018. Peterson currently runs the Tucson Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and formerly owned a gas station. In a statement, Peterson touted her proven record of advocating for hard-working Arizonans and said she would gauge the support of voters through Arizona's 2nd Congressional District to spread the message of fiscal conservatism. Peterson did, however, say that she would not run against McSally if she doesn't end up running for Senate. McSally has yet to declare her Senate bid, but told Republicans last month that she was looking to run. She will look to replace Senator Jeff Flake, who is retiring from the Senate in 2018. Peterson has backing by Governor Doug Ducey and is said to be receiving support from car dealer Jim Click, who serves as a GOP power player in the state. She has not yet filed with the Federal Election Commission, but did set up a site, voteforleah.com, on Wednesday. Peterson joins a busy race, including Democrats Ann Kirkpatrick, Billy Kovacs, Matt Hines, Mary Mattiella, and former state representative Bruce Wheeler.
A former aide to Representative Trent Franks told the Associated Press that Franks repeatedly tried to convince her to carry his child, offering her $5 million to act as a surrogate. After the news broke, Frank quickly resigned from Congress on Friday after 8 terms. Frank stepped down after a threat from House Speaker Paul Ryan, who told Franks to step aside or he would refer the allegations to an ethics committee. The former staffer said that Frank asked her at least 4 times to act as a surrogate in exchange for money. The aide said that these conversations were in private, sometimes in Frank's car, and that she repeatedly refused. She said she never filed a formal complaint because she didn't know where to go, but that his behavior made her feel very uncomfortable. In his resignation statement, Frank says that he and his wife have twins who were carried through a surrogate, so he didn't see it was an issue. A spokesman for Franks would not comment on whether he offered aides money in exchange to act as surrogates.
Tucson's economy is expected to continue slow growth as improvement is coming slower than expectations, according to University of Arizona economist George Hammond. Hammond's report said that job growth was flat from the 3rd quarter of 2016 through the 3rd quarter of 2017. However, he said these estimates are too pessimistic and that revisions will be made in March. Last week, Arizona state economist Lee McFetters predicted that Tucson would end up losing jobs this year and that Phoenix would be the only area adding jobs in the state. But Hammond said his report relies on more accurate data and that Tucson's growth grew by 0.8% this year, compared to 1.3% last year. This adds up to about 3,800 new jobs in the city. One of the few bright spots was in construction, which is grown by over 13% in the first 9 months of the year, according to U.S. Census data. Home prices also grew by over 7%, higher than the national rate, but still below the 9% growth rate of Phoenix. However, Tucson's exports to Mexico fell by almost 20% after peaking in 2015.
Tucson was among 3 Arizona cities on the list of the most deadliest cities in the nation, according to a report by CBS News. Phoenix, Tucson, and Mesa came in among the top 60 cities in the U.S. for high murder rates. Phoenix was the most deadliest city in the state with a murder rate of 4.3 per 100,000 people. They tied for 37th most deadly city in the U.S. with Prince George's County, Maryland. Tucson came in at number 43 with a rate of 3.8 murders per 100,000 people. St. Louis, Missouri ended up at the number 1 spot, with Baltimore, Maryland, New Orleans, Detroit, and Cleveland rounding out at the top 5 spots.
The Republican tax reform bill floating through Congress would offer a new way of funneling tax-deductible money to political candidates. A small provision in the House version of the bill lets big donors secretly give unlimited amounts to independent political groups and write these contributions off as charitable gifts. The provision will protect the rights of 501c3 charity organizations to support political candidates. This would repeal the Johnson Amendment, which makes it so 501c3s cannot endorse or attack candidates. The law is named after then Senator Lyndon Johnson, who amended a tax bill to stop charity groups who were attacking him at the time. 501c3 groups include churches and other religious institutions, which could rapidly change the system of political donations. Some say that this could backfire on religious institutions because they would now be expected to endorse candidates instead of staying apolitical. This could lead to religion to becoming overly politicized, which could turn off some churchgoers. The original tax bill only had the repeal effect in religious organizations, but later draft broadened the repeal to include all 501c3 entities. The IRS states that there are more than 1.3 million 501c3 groups.
So let's go to Puerto Rico, where the death toll from Hurricane Maria is more than almost 1,000 more than officially confirmed. According to a report by Puerto Rico Center for Investigative Journalism, initially the U.S. government reported only 16 deaths from the hurricane, a figure that's been used to convey that the disaster response was a success. However, that number grew to 62, which the government officially tallied. But the center looked at the 40-day window after the hurricane hit the island and compared this with data from 2 previous years. They found a huge spike of 985 deaths when compared with the same period from a year before. When they looked at the entire month of September and October, that number was even higher, with additional deaths increasing to 1,065 people. The data shows that many people likely died from the impacts of infrastructure damage caused by the hurricane. However, these individuals were not counted in the official death toll because it was not caused directly by the hurricane. The report found that death tolls were highest among women and men over 50 years old who were living in hospitals and nursing homes. These individuals suffered from conditions like kidney disease, pneumonia, Alzheimer's, and diabetes. After the hurricane hit, many hospitals on the island suffered power outages, likely leading to the deaths of sickly patients. Jose Lopez, a demographer in Puerto Rico, told the center that the low official count shows that the current process of assessing disaster deaths is flawed and it needs to be fixed. Currently, a death can only be attributed to a natural disaster if physicians make a note of it in the victim's death certificate.
A Bangladeshi man with a homemade bomb strapped to his body set off an explosion at New York's Port Authority bus terminal early this morning. The explosion wounded the bomber along with 3 other individuals who had burns and lacerations, according to the police. The suspect was identified as Akaye Ullah, who's from the Bangladeshi city of Chittagong and is a U.S. resident. Local news reports stated that Ullah was in his 20s and that he's been in the U.S. for 7 years and currently lives in Brooklyn. Ullah had no criminal record and reportedly had last visited Bangladesh in early September. Police found that he had a pipe bomb attached to his body, which ignited before he was able to get into a more populated area. The bus terminal is the busiest in the country, with 220,000 passengers arriving and departing on 7,000 buses on an average day.
A federal judge ruled that transgender recruits will be able to join the U.S. military starting in January 1st. The ruling rejected a reject by the Trump administration to enforce a ban on transgender troops while the government appeals an order blocking U.S. District Court Judge Colleen Cotterly refused to lift the order because she said it violates the U.S. Constitution, guarantees of due process, and equal protection under the law. The Trump administration argued that the January 1st deadline should be delayed because tens of thousands of personal would be needed to be trained in medical standards needed to process transgender applicants. The administration said the military was not ready to comply with the new standards, but Judge Collar Contley said that preparations were already underway during the tenure of President Obama and that the military should be ready for the new rules. In July, President Trump announced that he would ban transgender people from the military, claiming that they would create problems with medical costs. Soon after, several transgender service members filed a lawsuit against the administration. In response to the ruling, the Pentagon said that it was preparing to allow transgender people to enter the military on January 1st anyway.
And I wanted to take a moment to talk about the program you're watching right now. Here at 5 on 20, we are undertaking a new kind of citizen journalism. We are going to give you the news as we see it, and we want more people to speak up with us. We need writers, hosts, anchors, camera people, sound people, the whole gamut. The times require a new way of informing ourselves. So join us, do it now. Email us at info@creativetucson.org to get involved. And if you think there's a story we're missing, a person we should interview, an upcoming event we should cover, or have any news tips for us, shoot an email to info@creativetucson.org. We are here for you, and we want to cover all stories from all points of views. So don't be strangers.
Yes, let's have fun. This was 5 on 20 News with Reggie Stout.
And I'm Phyllis James.
So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to all our social media accounts for the latest Creative Tucson news and content. Please feel free to bother us at info@creativetucson.org. And thanks for watching. Stay
creative, Tucson.
Baptismal veins and